Hey, you guys wanted pie, and you're going to get pie. And no, I'm not talking about dessert at our favorite local diner. I am talking about the Pacific Intermountain Express Incorporated Company. Hey guys, I'm going to start this video by showing you my boots for those of you that aren't in on the competition yet, or in for the drawing anyway. These are a pair of boots that Brunt Workwear sent me and wanted me to try them out, and I love them. I finally got to wear them for a whole day, and as things are cooling down, I love them, and I'm going to tell you guys at the end here how you can get in on a drawing to win your own pair, whatever size and style that you want. But let's get into P.I.E. Let's get into talking about the Pacific Intermountain Express Company. The reason I'm doing this one is because so many people have asked for P.I.E. You know, they wanted me to do a story on P.I.E. and I did some digging into them. It's pretty interesting. This company has been passed around more than a hooker at a, well, never mind, that's a whole different channel. But this company has had a lot of owners, okay, over the years. Now, everything I saw, they all kind of said the same thing, that they cannot really find much out about the beginning, except that the company was actually started in 1927 by Ray Lillenquist and his brothers Bill and Les. And they actually they used two Model A Fords to move freight from Pocatello to Idaho Falls, Idaho. So that's pretty interesting. Model A Fords. Can you imagine the opportunity at the time? Trucks were fairly new. I don't know if the regulations were in place yet. Just the opportunity for looking ahead at the future in the trucking industry. We had motorized vehicles, and wow. Yeah, it's just amazing when you think about the possibilities. But later, like I said, not much is known about them. P.I.E. grew because of the consolidation of three companies. Just like so many of these other companies, we talked about Associated Transport, kind of started that way originally. And so in 1946, P.I.E. had 535 employees. And wow, from 3 employees and 2 Model A's to 535 in a matter of, what would that be, 19 years. Yeah, pretty cool. But in the 1940s and the 1950s, they grew a lot more due to even more acquisitions. You got to remember, when you had to, you had to petition for your lane. I guess you had to ask the ICC permission to run a lane. It was easier to just buy the companies that already had them lanes. And just like we saw from so many LTL carriers that I've done stories on. And yeah, pretty impressive. In 1954, P.I.E. acquired West Coast Freight and System Tank Line. This made them the largest petroleum hauler, the largest hauler of petroleum products in the U.S. And at the same time, they expanded from just the West Coast and went as far east as St. Louis and Chicago. Yeah, pretty interesting. Largest hauler of petroleum products. I didn't realize until I started collecting pictures for this that P.I.E. had such a big tanker division and everything. Yeah, well, let's see what happened in the 1960s. All right, so during the 1960s, P.I.E. made many more acquisitions to extend its reach the whole way to the East Coast. This, for the first time, made them a nationwide company. And meanwhile, while this is going on, in 1965, IU International Corp, they called it. I could not find out what IU stood for. It's just what they called it. IU International Corp bought Miami-based Ryder System. The big leasing company, but they were also a trucking company. They bought them in 1965, and that's important because in 1973, they bought P.I.E. So P.I.E. and Ryder remained two separate companies until 1982. That's when they combined to make Ryder P.I.E. And there was a reason for this. The merger was because deregulation, just 2 years before, had negative effects on them, as it did with almost all unionized LTL companies that were out there at the time. Most of my stories about a unionized LTL carrier changes after deregulation. The other ones. But they did the merger in hopes of creating a more efficient company. The problem was that almost from the start, it was a horrible. The two companies were very different in their operating systems, the way they did things, everything like that. They had an incredible amount of trouble integrating the two companies together, and because of this, they lost a lot of their major carriers, or a lot of their major shippers, long haul stuff, LTL, everything. They lost so much of it because their systems weren't properly in place. It was interesting. That was the kind of the start of the fall of the company. So on January 2nd of 1986, P.I.E was sold to a Chicago-based company called RPN Acquisitions. And they said there was a whole bunch of things that had happened up before that. And we'll explain them here. IU said that the sale would not affect the management or affect the employee stock investment plan that had just been put in place. So the employee stock investment plan was established only 3 months earlier in October 1985. And basically 85 of their 11,000 employees agreed that they would give up 15% of their salaries or wages, hourly or mileage, not sure how they paid at the time. But they agreed to give up 15%. And in exchange, they would receive 38% ownership over the next 5 years. Yeah, 38% of the stock in the next 5 years. I guess, I don't know, if I was presented with that, I guess, if the company thrived, you would do good, if you were in on that. And maybe they were forced to take that 15%. I couldn't find out much information about it. But at that time, Ryder P.I.E was the nation's 4th largest LTL carrier with revenues over $800 million. So I guess having a piece of that pie might be good. Look at that. I didn't even try that. Well, I love it when I can make a pun without even trying to. But anyway, the new owners changed the company name to P.I.E nationwide. Now, I think I can't find out when the Pacific Intermountain Express name went away. It seems like it probably went away with Ryder P.I.E nationwide. But I believe by that time they were just P.I.E. But couldn't find much out there. So in October of 1987, Charles Rogers and Harold Doyle were hired as chairman and president of P.I.E. They were both, up until this point, owned majority interests in P.I.E. and were growing. They were buying more of the company at that point. But in 1990, they were sold again, handed off. They were sold to Miami-based Olympia Holding Corporation, a privately held investment company. And at the time of that sale, P.I.E was the 8th largest trucking company, and at that time its employees owned 36% of the company through their ESOP, their employee stock, what was that up there? Employee stock investment plan, he said. Yeah. So Olympia had also recently bought LA-based Transcon Lines. It's actually a company I had never heard of, and so basically this made Transcon and P.I.E under the control of the investment group, Olympia Investment Group. And, things didn't really get any better from there. All right, so just 6 months later, after Olympia bought them, they announced in October 1990 they filed for Chapter 11 reorganization. Both of them, P.I.E and Olympia Holdings totally filed for reorganization. And they listed debts in the amount of $237 million and assets of $169 million. Now, the reorganization, they were going to try something, because at the time they had 230 terminals and 3,500 workers. So they were going to try to downsize a bit in hopes of taking over that. I believe it said they went down to 67 terminals. I didn't write it down here, and cut 1,500 more workers to have only 2,000 workers at the time. But this only lasts for about 2 months. In December 15th, they announced that they were shutting down completely. They were done. They were going to start liquidation processes. By this point, they had bankruptcy lawyers, bankruptcy judges, the whole bankruptcy court involved. The court approved them to stay open for 2 more weeks, so they could pretty much deliver everything that they had sitting on their docks. And basically, at that time, it was the end for P.I.E. Multiple names over the years, multiple owners. Started Pacific Intermountain Express, Incorporated. Ryder P.I.E nationwide, P.I.E nationwide. And, unfortunately, it just didn't last. But, yep, so that was the end of P.I.E. And, I appreciate it, guys. And I told you earlier that I would show you how to win the boots. So, got this pair of boots. They are used now, and I am really liking them. From Broke Workwear. But they agreed, after they sent me them boots, I, had talked to them a bit about a pretty cool promotion. I'm coming up on 10,000 subscribers. And actually, right now, I think I'm at right about 9,600. So we're just 400 subscribers away from doing this giveaway, and Brunt is going to give away a pair of boots to the winner. You're going to get a hold of them. You're going to let them know your size and what style. Those, the boots that I have are brown. They have black. They have many different styles, different toe styles. That's just the one that I chose. But seems like a lot of pretty cool stuff. So here's how you can win it. All you got to do is comment on this or any video that I've mentioned this in. I believe I have 3 or 4 out now that I've been talking about this. But you want to do it quick. When I hit 10,000 subscribers, it's over, and then we're probably going to do something live. We're going to review the boots a little bit and pick a winner. So anybody who comments, I put your name down. You don't have to comment multiple times. You only get one, and it can be anything. You can just say, "Hey, give me the boots." I said that in the last video, and some have said that. Give me the boots, or I want the boots, and that's cool. But yeah, go ahead and comment on that. And guys, as always, I appreciate it. I did this P.I.E video because of your comments, asking for different videos of different companies. Feel free to comment anytime. I love them. I read every single comment. I love it. I get so many different stories. And thanks a lot, guys. If you don't want to comment on there, you can also, I'll put my email down here. It's finchresources@gmail.com. So yeah, you can send me an email anytime. You also can find me on Facebook and Instagram under the Trucking Resources. Trucking Resources name. So thanks everybody, and I'll have a new video out soon.